Hi everyone, this is Ms. Beckham from the College and Career Center here at Conroe High School. We're going to be talking about the middle years of high school, that 10th and 11th grade year, just to help you as parents know what to do to help make your students' senior year a success. So the focus for sophomore year is for students to learn how to self-advocate. This is something that we really try to focus on once students get to be sophomores, once they get to be in 10th grade. We still want you to be involved, but we want them to learn this really important skill. We encourage them to have positive attitudes, being here on the main campus. They also need to learn how to manage their time. As they grow throughout high school, they'll have more responsibilities and more commitments, and so managing their time becomes a very important skill for them to learn. We also encourage them to be organized. They have 7 classes that they're keeping up with. They had 7 classes in 9th grade as well, but just keeping organized with their classes and their assignments and making sure they're turning their work in on time. And then also setting goals. We talked 10th grade year about careers that students might be interested in and setting those goals for after high school so they know how to work towards whatever their future goals are. As a junior year is probably one of the toughest years of high school. Students are able to take tougher classes than they did as a sophomore. Their opportunities for AP and dual credit classes increase. They also might have more responsibilities. This is the age where many of our students start to get a job. So they may be in class all day and then leaving here to go to work in the evenings. Or they may have higher positions on their sports team or in their extracurricular activities. And then they also need to be planning for their senior year. So this is really the time to be focusing on what they want to do after high school so they can make sure they have everything lined up and in place to make sure that they are ready for senior year. And all of this needs to happen in order for students to have a successful transition after high school graduation. In a couple of weeks, your juniors will be meeting with their counselors individually, and during those junior counselor conferences, the counselors will be visiting with your junior about their GPA and rank, talking about what classes they need to take for graduation their senior year. They'll talk to them about colleges and what their plans are after high school, or if it's careers or military, when and how to sign up for the SAT or ACT if that's a test that they need to take. They'll also talk to them about if they're a first-generation college student and any future career plans they might have. Sophomores will be having a similar conference with their counselor later on first semester, but that will be focused more on taking classes in high school to align with future career choices. All right, let's talk about graduation requirements for just a moment. So there was a law that was passed several years ago now called House Bill 5. So that graduation plan is the following. So students have to have 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math to include Algebra 1 geometry and 2 advanced math courses, 4 credits of science, which include biology, chemistry, physics, and 1 advanced science course, 4 credits of social studies, and is very specific: world geography, world history, U.S. history, and a semester of government and a semester of economics. Students also have to have 2 languages other than English. So this can be, on our campus, we offer Spanish, Chinese, German. So students can take these classes, and that would count as their 2 years of a foreign language. They also have a semester of health that is required. So some of your students may have taken health in junior high, and that counts towards their high school graduation requirements. A full credit of PE or something similar. There's a maximum of 4 credits that students can receive in this. And those substitutes can be marching band for the first year of high school, drill team, cheerleading, ROTC, athletics, or if your student is in an approved off-campus PE program. There's also 1 credit of a fine art that's required, and that can include art, dance, music, theater, or floral design. So for your students that are in band and they continue that throughout high school, their first year of band counts as a PE credit. Their second year of band counts as a fine art credit, and then the last 2 years will count towards elective credits. And students have to have 5.5 elective credits in order to graduate. These elective credits go towards what's called an endorsement. So there are 5 different endorsement areas with the House Bill 5 graduation plan. That is multidisciplinary, STEM, public service, arts and humanities, and business and industry. So all students graduating in Conroe ISD are on track to graduate with a multidisciplinary endorsement, because Conroe ISD requires 4 credits of English, math, science, and social studies. So that's an automatic endorsement students can receive. STEM, this includes things like our health science program, students taking advanced math or advanced science classes. Public service, this is like our child care program, ROTC, those go under public service. Arts and humanities would be for students who are in one of those fine art classes all 4 years of high school, or if they take multiple years of a foreign language. And then business and industry, that includes our welding, our agriculture, our business classes, audio video production. All of those are under business and industry. And there are additional House Bill 5 things that students can receive. Distinguished level of achievement. Students have to, with a distinguished level of achievement, receive an endorsement and take Algebra 2. So because Algebra 2 is a requirement, all of our students receive a distinguished level of achievement. And then there are also different performance acknowledgments that students can receive, and that criteria is set by the state of Texas. So along with graduation requirements, students also have to take and pass EOC tests, end of course exam tests. So our students take English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History. All of these must be passed in order to graduate. So they have to be here, sit for the test, and pass them in order to graduate. If a student is absent, we will make sure that they partake in that testing during one of our makeup test times. But that is a requirement. So students needing to retake a test, if they were absent, will have the opportunity in December, and then again in May if they don't pass it in December. So there are 3 different opportunities: December, May, and during the summer, for students to take these tests to be able to graduate. Another test that juniors will take is called the PSAT test. So the PSAT is a practice SAT test. It's given to all 10th and 11th grade students. The district actually pays for the test for students, so 10th and 11th graders get to take this test for free. For juniors, it's a qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship Competition. So if your junior is a high achieving student and they score fairly well, actually really well on the PSAT, they could qualify for the National Merit Scholarship Competition program, and they'll be notified by National Merit that they qualify for that. We will be offering or administering the test on Wednesday, October 13th here at school. That's during the school day. And again, the cost is free for all Conroe ISD 10th and 11th grade students. So like I said, the PSAT is a qualifying test for juniors. After your student takes the test, all sophomore and junior students, they will receive an email in December from College Board letting them know that their PSAT scores are available and they need to log into their College Board account. So your junior and sophomore may not have an email address set up yet. So that is a conversation to have with them and make sure they know which email address to use. Because if they, on that PSAT test, if they list a different email address and forget it, they're not going to be able to access their PSAT score. So they need to make sure they're using an email address that they know and are familiar with. Students through their PSAT scores can connect it to Khan Academy, and they can receive a personalized study plan for the SAT test. So it'll look at areas that students didn't do well in and give them extra support in those areas to help students improve overall when they take the SAT later on in high school. Some other tests that juniors will take is the U.S. History EOC test, like we talked about, the PSAT. And then spring of junior year is the time for students to take the SAT or the ACT test. These are college qualifying tests. Students take these tests to show that they are college ready. So we will talk about those a little bit more here in just a little bit. So if the students can take both tests, I recommend that students take both tests. A lot of times students will do better on one test than they do on the other. The SAT is very similar to what the PSAT is, and since our students take the PSA 10th grade and the 11th grade, they feel more comfortable taking the SAT test. It has a reading, math, and a writing section. The writing section is not an essay, it's more like grammar correction. There is an essay that used to be optional. The College Board has actually taken that away since creating this presentation. And there are fee waivers available for students to use if they qualify for free and reduced lunch. The ACT test has a reading, writing, math section, but it also has a science section. So if your student is well-versed in math and science, they may actually do better on the ACT than they do on the SAT. The ACT does have an essay that is optional. Colleges aren't looking as much at the essay part of these tests. That's why College Board has actually taken away the essay section. And there are fee waivers available for the ACT test as well, again, for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. And this is qualifying for free and reduced lunch based on filling out the free and reduced lunch application. Even though Conroe ISD is offering free lunch to all students, it must be that application that qualifies students for free and reduced lunch. There are different prep classes available that you can sign your student up for. There are some prep classes through our district. Our college readiness office offers some test prep throughout the school year. Typically, these are right before a test administration, so students, that information is fresh on their minds whenever they go in to take these tests. If you're interested in that, you can visit the College Readiness website. To go there, you go to the Conroe ISD main website, click on Departments, and then the Office of College Readiness. Students will register for these classes through our district School Cash Online program. Some other ways of studying for free would be for the SAT through Khan Academy. Students can log into their College Board account and look at that personalized study plan based on their PSAT results through Khan Academy. So knowing when students need to take these tests is very important. So the math section on these tests typically are Algebra 2 related. So if your student is not in Algebra 2 as a junior, they really need to look at waiting until early in their senior year to take the SAT or the ACT. So you can see on this chart, you can even take a screenshot of this so you have this handy. Freshman year, this is really not the year to take the SAT or ACT. We really want students to concentrate on developing those study skills and studying for the STAR or EOC test. Sophomore year, this is when they will be taking the PSAT, which is that practice SAT. And then juniors, again, will take the PSAT as well. But if your juniors in Algebra 2, late spring is when they need to take the SAT or the ACT. If they're in pre-cal or a higher level of math, they can start taking the SAT or ACT as early as late fall. We want to make sure that they have the skills that they need to do well on that test. If your junior is in geometry or math models, they really need to wait until their senior year to take the SAT or ACT, or they may be able to take what's called the TSI test if they're planning to go to a 2-year college, like Lone Star, for instance. And I will talk with students about that once they get to be seniors. And then senior year is the time they can either take the SAT or ACT for the first time, early senior year, or retake the SAT or ACT if they need to. So to register for the SAT, students go to the College Board website. It's collegeboard.org. If they have an account, they need to sign in using that same account. If they have forgotten their account, they need to click on Forgot Username or Forgot Password so that they can log into that same account. It is not a wise decision to create multiple College Board accounts because it is very difficult. Contacting College Board and getting those accounts connected. So be sure to use that same information. For ACT, again, students register for those online. ACT.org is the ACT website. For both of these tests, Conroe High School is not a testing center. So when your student goes online to register for these tests, they're going to see that Conroe High School is not listed, and that is okay. Students are able to take the SAT or ACT at any local high school that is available. So if you live closer to the Woodlands or Oak Ridge, then your student can sign up to take those tests. If you live closer to Lake Creek High School or Willis High School, your student can sign up to test there. So you're able to pick and choose where you want to, your student to take the test. There are also some other free resources available for students, and so you're welcome to take a picture of this as well. Both SAT and College Board for SAT have different study guides within their websites. You can just Google free practice test for ACT. Just make sure it's from the ACT website or SAT or College Board website. There are some actual phone apps that students can download. Some of those have a fee associated with them, but they will present to students like a question of the day. So each day they will be able to log into their phone and look at the question of the day just to keep those skills fresh on their mind before they go in to take those tests. All right, so a lot of times I have parents contact and say, you know, my student really needs to do test prep because they have a hard time in math. There's a difference between tutoring and test prep. So if your student needs to learn math concepts or have difficulty with grammar rules or struggling with speed reading and summarizing, that is more tutoring than test prep. Test prep looks like this. If your student is running out of time on tests, test prep will help them learn how to manage their time in taking a test. If they need help trying to figure out how to eliminate wrong answer choices, or if your student is marking in the test booklet to actively solve questions. These are more test prep things. So whenever you're looking for help for your student, kind of think about, is it tutoring that they need or is it test prep that they need? So looking at colleges, so if your student is interested in attending college after high school, when colleges were asked what was the most important thing in admissions that they looked at, these are the top three things. The colleges look at the rigor of high school curriculum, meaning the level of classes that students took throughout high school, the grades in those classes, and then the third thing they look at is test scores. So it is really important for our students to study so they can do the very best that they can on these tests and be a good reflection to the colleges of who they are as a student. All right, so the big questions. Now we're going to shift gears and talk more about how do students choose what they want to do after high school. A lot of this is going to refer to college, but I do talk to students about the workforce and technical schools and certification. So we're going to talk about how do you select these different programs and what should be considered when selecting these programs. So how can your students search for different colleges or technical programs? We use a program called Naviance. So Naviance is a web-based program that our district has purchased for students to use. It's part of our guidance curriculum. We're required to teach these different things each year, and so this is what we use for that. There is a student and parent component. The students actually do things in Naviance. The parents, you as parents, can only view the things that the students do. You would not be able to go in and do these activities or request transcripts. Your student would have to do that. If you as parents want access to Naviance, you're welcome to send me an email and I can get you set up. This is also the guidance department's communication tool. So there's a way for counselors to send a mass email to all of their students through Naviance, so we use this on a regular basis. So there's different aspects within Naviance. There's a self-discovery area that students can do different surveys to identify their interests, their skills, personality, and then link those results to careers that match those things. There's a career planning area. Students can explore a variety of careers. The college planning area, students can do college searches. It talks about the application process. There's a whole section for college majors, and then a whole section for scholarships and financial aid. Under the About Me section, there's a resume builder. This is where we also house students' test scores, their SAT or ACT scores, PSAT scores, as well as their GPA and rank. So under the Self-Discovery tab, when students log in, they can click on Self-Discovery, and it'll pop up with all of these different surveys or assessments that students can complete. So if you've heard of the Myers-Briggs survey, there are some companies that spend a lot of money to provide that survey or assessment to their employees. We offer that to students for free. So students can take these assessments at any time, and it'll give them results either about their personality, their interests, different strengths that they have, skills that they have, and then it connects those things to different careers that students might be interested in. Under the Careers tab, if a student clicks on that, they can explore careers, they can look at careers by clusters or pathways. There's different work-based learning experiences listed here, and then explore Road Trip Nation videos. These videos are nice for students to do because it is real-world people that are in careers that your student might be interested in, and they talk to the students about what's needed to get to that type of career. Under the Explore Careers tab, if students were to click on that, they would see a long list of careers, and the pages just go on and on for students to be able to look at. Students can type in the name of a career they're interested in. They can sort it by different things. Once a student finds a career that they're interested in, then it's kind of like a rabbit hole. It takes them further and further into everything. Under the Careers and Clusters and Pathways, this is where the careers are grouped by kind of like by topic. So let's just say that I, as a student, am interested in business management and administration. So if under the Clusters and Pathways, I click on that, it's going to take me to related pathways within that area. So within that area, I am interested in business information management. So if I click on that, it takes me to an overview of business information management. And then under there, I can click on related majors. So if I click on related majors, it comes up with a list of majors that are associated with that topic. If I click on accounting and finance, it'll give me a list of colleges that offer that particular major. So again, this is kind of like a rabbit hole of information. Your students can start in one area, click on things, and it'll take them to different areas within Naviance to search for different colleges or majors that they might want to pursue later on. Under the Colleges tab, you can see there's a lot of different areas for students to click on to find information about colleges. They can do different searches. There's a way for students to sign up for college visits. This is how students will request letters of recommendation. There's also a whole section for scholarships and money. So students can, at any grade level, click on the scholarships and money section and do some scholarship searches. This national scholarship search is something that students can click on and start applying right away for scholarships as long as they qualify for those. So under the College tab, there is the Super Match College Search. That's one of the things that students can do. They can click on the different criteria at the top, select things that they must have or that would be nice to have, and then it'll show them a list of results with a match. So you can see here that based on the criteria that I selected, there are a couple of colleges that 100% match what I'm wanting to do. There's also an advanced college search that students have 8 different categories that they can select from. They go through each of these tabs, select the different categories, and then it provides a list of colleges that meet that criteria. We also have college reps that come on campus throughout the year, and they sign up through Naviance. And so students can log into Naviance on a regular basis to see this list changing all the time. So if there's a college listed here that a student might be interested in, they can click on Register Now, and they will get a pass the day of the visit to come down to the College and Career Center to virtually meet with the college reps. The college visits are for juniors and seniors, so sophomores, you'll have to wait just a little bit longer to meet with the college reps, but we do this every single year, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to do this. So I also talk to students about different pathways after high school. I talk to them about the military, about different technical programs. We have technical schools that will contact wanting to meet with students who are interested in those different areas. I talk about two-year schools and the different types of two-year schools, certification programs at those schools, as well as associate's degrees. And then four-year universities and colleges. There are a lot of different options for students that are available out there. So not all children need college, but all children need an education. So that might be where a student is getting on-the-job training. So they may not have to go to college for that, but they may be doing it on the job, or they may go to work right after high school, and that company may pay for your students to get a certification. So there's different ways of students getting an education after they graduate from high school, even though it may not be going to college. So if your student is interested in the military, we actually have military reps that come on campus once a week. At this moment, they're not able to come on campus, but once they are given the green light, they will be here all the time to visit with your students. Each of the branches listed, except for the Coast Guard, will be here. Students will, if they have questions, they can visit with them, ask questions, just gather information so that they can make an educated decision about what they want to do in the future. We also offer the ASVAB test twice a year to all 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. I will send a sign up for that once it gets a little bit closer. And so if your student is interested in the military, they can sign up for the ASVAB test also. There are a lot of different options at two-year colleges. Workforce certifications, there are a lot of two-year colleges that will offer workforce certifications, and some of these are actually cheaper than some of the more common technical schools that we hear about, like UTI and Tulsa Welding. Students can get the same type of certifications either through Lone Star or any of the local two-year colleges for a little bit cheaper. And so I talk to students about those opportunities. We have Lone Star College right here in our backyard. There's actually a campus here in Conroe, and they offer several different types of certifications there. So that is a great option for many of our students. Students also can get an associate's degree, which is a two-year degree at these junior colleges or community colleges, and students can take classes and then transfer to a four-year university to finish up their degree if they would like to do that as well. There are a lot of different four-year university options that are available. These that are listed are four-year universities that are close to home. So these are colleges that are within driving distance, less than 2 hours from Conroe. Many times students want to stay close to home, but the only colleges they can think of are Sam Houston and University of Houston. There are several colleges that are close to home. So I encourage students to explore those if they're not wanting to move off. But this is just a sampling of the many colleges that are available to students throughout Texas. I also talk to students about FIT. There are more than 2,000 universities in the United States. So when a student comes in and says, I want to go to college, we really try to narrow that down. Sometimes all they know are those big name schools, but some of those big name schools may not be the right fit for everyone. Conroe High School is a pretty large school, but these big name universities are a lot bigger. And so students need to be sure that they know the school and know themselves, to know if that would be a good fit for them. I talked to a student a couple of weeks ago. She said that she did not like cold weather at all. So I was like, okay, you need to make sure you don't choose a college that has cold weather. Choose a college that's in the South. So knowing yourself and knowing the school. There are so many different types of schools out there, but one of the things that you as a family can talk about is the financial fit. Start having those conversations with your students now about if you as a family would be able to afford the types of schools that your student is looking into. So this next section is going to be more for those geared towards applying to college. So we're going to talk about where should you apply, how to get in, and when should you begin planning. So I talked to students about different types of college criteria. So a REACH school is kind of that above and beyond school. For some students this might be Rice, for some students this might be University of Texas, for some it may be A&M. I encourage students to apply to those REACH schools because they may be exactly what that university is hoping to enroll the following year. And so they're not going to know unless they apply. It targets schools where a student has a 50-50 chance of getting into that school. It looks pretty good, but maybe not. A likely school is not a fallback school, but it's a school that students are confident that they can be accepted and admitted to. Looking at the college's admissions requirements, that is one way to know whether a student would be accepted or not. And a good rule of thumb is to look at 3 to 6 schools whenever students are applying. Some students know without a doubt they want to apply to just one and they know they can be accepted. But applying to more than 6 schools, it can get costly. It's very time consuming. So just work with your student whenever they're looking at colleges to make sure that they're narrowing that down. There are different types of admissions criteria. Automatic admissions, there was a Texas law passed several years ago that if a student is in the top 10% of the graduating class, they can automatically be admitted to a Texas public university. There's also something called automatic academic admission. This is where colleges look at your student's rank and their admissions exams, those SAT or ACT scores. The colleges have a preset criteria that students can meet, and each university is a little bit different. But if the student meets that criteria, then they can automatically be admitted. Then there's also something called selective admits or review admits. So the University of Texas is the exception to the top 10% rule. For our current seniors, UT has said that they will automatically admit the top 6% of the graduating class. So anyone outside of that top 6% would be looked at by review, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So that automatic academic admit, like I said, it's a preset rank and test scores. Each university sets their own criteria. So what the automatic admit is for Texas A&M is going to be different than what Texas State is. Each of the college's websites will have information, so you can go to the admission section of those colleges and look to see what that is. Something to keep in mind that even though your student may be admitted to the university, automatically, it does not mean that they will be guaranteed acceptance into the major they plan to pursue. So, for instance, I had a couple of seniors in the past that were admitted to 2 different universities, both wanted to go into engineering. They were accepted into university, but they were not accepted into the engineering program. So that is something for students to think about as well and consider whenever they're applying to different colleges. This is a chart that will be updated each year. So once your students get to be seniors, it'll be updated with more current information. This is an automatic admissions chart. So it lists the name of the college, the website, and then the last 4 columns are by quarter of the class. So first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We determine quarter of the class by taking the total number of students, dividing by 4, and then wherever your student falls, that would be what quarter of the class they're in. So let's say that your student is interested in the University of North Texas. So if they make a 1030 on the SAT or a 20 on their ACT in their top quarter of the class, they can automatically be admitted to University of North Texas. So that's how this chart is used. Again, this will be updated each year. So once your student gets to be a senior, this criteria may change a little bit. Another way for students to learn more about colleges is to, this is selective review. So selective review admits, the different criteria that colleges look at are curriculum that is studied, the different types of classes students take, their admissions test, their SAT or ACT scores, their class rank, activities they may be involved in, showing a demonstrated interest. So students do this by talking with college reps when they're on campus, when they're at college fairs, if there is a camp that students can attend, if they attend those, the colleges keep track of these different things. And also essays. The essays are a huge part of this selective review admissions process. It really gives the colleges a glimpse into who the student is, something that they can't really determine from the things that they get on paper, like the transcript and the application. So the essays are a very important part of the application process. And colleges also look at letters of recommendation from counselors or teachers. Colleges making a connection Showing a demonstrated interest, like I said, visiting the college is one way to do that. A lot of universities have prospective student days, so students that are interested in attending their school, they can go to one of these prospect days and get to know more about the university, take a tour, and like I said, colleges keep up with that information. Another way for students to visit colleges is to visit colleges while you're on vacation. So if you drive into Houston to go do something, or drive to Galveston, there are several colleges along the way that you can stop at. You can stop and walk around the campus and learn more about the university. You don't have to take a formal tour or make a formal appointment. You can just show up and walk around just to get a feel for the campus. And also visiting with the college reps. Each of them have local and regional offices that you can reach out to. Some live in our area, and so they are easily accessible to come to the campus here on our campus if we need them to. The college reps will visit through the College and Career Center. Right now they're doing this virtually. I hope for the near future that we will be able to allow them in person. And then we also have a district college night that is currently scheduled for October 12th at Lone Star Convention Center. And this is another way for students to get to know their college reps as well. All right, financial aid. This is how your students will be able to pay for college or their technical programs that they're doing. So financial aid comes in many forms, state and federal grants and scholarships. Grants and scholarships, that is free money that students do not have to pay back. So this is money that students can receive from filling out the FAFSA or the TASFA form. There are also private and corporate grants and scholarships that students can apply for. These are through different organizations or businesses. This might even be from your place of business if they offer scholarships for students dependents of employees. Institutional grants and scholarships, this is where students will get the bulk of their money. So this is scholarship money that students can get through the university itself. Many of these are based on grades or SAT and ACT scores, but there are some that are just for things that students are involved in here in high school. Loans, this is money that students will have to pay back. Loans kind of get a bad rap in our society, but for some students, getting a loan, that might be the only way that they're able to attend college. So, that is something for students to look into as an option. There's also a website called the FAFSA Forecaster that you as parents can go to. You can put in your information and it'll kind of give you an estimate of how much money you might be able to receive by filling out the FAFSA. And you can start planning now for that once your student gets to be a senior. The FAFSA or TASFA applications, this is something that you will, as a family, fill out starting in October of your student's senior year. You can't do it any earlier. If you do, you're going to be applying for the wrong year. Filling out the FAFSA or the TASFA is actually now a graduation requirement, so we will talk more about this in depth once your students get to be a senior. If your student is an athlete, the junior year is really the time to begin the process of signing up with the NCAA Clearinghouse. They will make an account and fill in their information. If your student has any questions, they're welcome to come by the College and Career Center or visit with their coach about that. Building a resume is something that all students need to do no matter what their plans are after high school, whether they plan to get a job or go to college. Keeping up with those resume activities starting early in high school will be so much helpful rather than waiting until your student gets to be a senior. So things to include might be school activities, awards that your students may have received, different summer activities, programs or camps that they've done, community or church involvement, and employment history. Colleges and scholarship committees really only want to see things that have been completed during the high school years only. They're not as concerned that your student had perfect attendance in third grade. They just want to look at those high school years. So if you keep track of that now, once your student gets to be a senior, it'll be so much easier for them to build that resume for their college applications or scholarships. All right, so now let's talk about putting all of the pieces together. So as a ninth grader, when your student was in 9th grade, they took one of those personality assessments. And so we learned about personalities and careers that might be good for that type of personality. As a 10th grader, students will take an assessment to learn more about careers, things that interest them and careers that go along with those. 11th grade is when we learn about different colleges and different majors that go along with the careers that students are wanting to pursue. And then 12th grade year is when students really need to begin applying for college. And all of that leads up to graduation. So how can you, as a parent, help your 10th grader? Be sure that you're helping to keep up with their grades and parent access. You can log into that regularly to see what assignments your students have completed or need to complete. Be sure to check Canvas regularly. I have a college and career Canvas course for all grade levels. And not just Canvas for me, but Canvas for your students' teachers as well. Make sure that you're staying on top of the announcements that are listed there and anything that's under the module section that might be helpful for your student. Be sure that you communicate with teachers. At the beginning I said we want our students to be self-advocates, but we also want you to be involved as well. The first thing that we would like for students to do is them self-advocate and talk with their teachers. But if you see that nothing is happening or your students still having trouble, then we ask you to please get involved and communicate with those teachers. Motivate your students to continue working hard. Make sure that they study and practice for the PSAT that is in October 13th. Junior rank will be released later on in October, so this will be including the fall and spring semesters of 9th grade. It's not too early to begin looking at colleges and start drafting a list of potential colleges students might be interested in, and then encouraging them to stay involved and increase their leadership. There are a lot of different clubs and organizations available at our school that we would really like for students to get involved in. And students getting involved in clubs and organizations that align with maybe a future career goal is a good thing as well. As an 11th grader, encouraging you to do the same thing that I just asked you to do for your 10th graders. Communicating with teachers, but then again also encouraging your students to self-advocate, encourage them to continue working hard. That junior year is the last opportunity for students to impact their GPA and rank for college admissions. So we will run GPA and rank at the end of junior year, and that is the GPA and rank that students will use when they start applying for college. So it's really important that students really work hard and do their best their junior year to make them a positive impact on their GPA and rank. Again, juniors will be taking the PSAT on October 13th. We will re-release rank for juniors in October. We also want them to begin looking at colleges, visiting colleges, staying involved, increasing those leadership skills, but also visit the colleges in person. I really encourage students to go visit the colleges that they're planning to apply to, just because if they don't and they get accepted and that's the only college they get accepted to and then they get there and not like it, that might not be the best experience. So we want our students to actually explore and visit the colleges that they're interested in before or during that application process. So some differences between junior year and senior year. Junior year, like we said earlier, is tough. There's a lot of testing that happens. We want students to be thinking about their future, researching their future, thinking outside of the box about some things. A lot of students say they want to go into health science and engineering. There are so many other different areas for students to go into and still use those same or similar skills. So encourage your students to think outside of the box. Junior year, make sure they're keeping up with grades, narrowing down or beefing up their list of colleges, and self-advocating. Senior year is when students start applying for college. If they need to test or retest for the SAT or ACT, that is the time to do that. Applying for scholarships, keeping up with grades. There is a lot of time management that happens in senior year, and then also self-advocating as well. There are a lot of forms of communication that we as a school use to help with that communication between the school and families. So one of those is Dr. Smith's newsletter that is sent out once a week. So be sure that you check that on a regular basis. Within that newsletter is a Counselor Corner section, and so Ms. Joyner, our lead counselor, updates that weekly with information that is important for you. Also being sure that you as a parent check your email. I know whenever I communicate with students, I always include parents on that as well, so you're included in what I'm sharing with your student. So you on your end can help hold your student accountable for the things that I am emailing students about. Be sure that you're checking parent access on a regular basis, keeping up with your students' grades and attendance, checking Canvas. So like I said, the College and Career Canvas course, I use modules and announcements regularly. So if you haven't logged into the College and Career Canvas course, have your student log in and show you, or you can log in through your parent account and check those things out. We have a lot of different social media platforms that we use. There is a Conroe High School account. I have a College and Career account. Our counseling department has an account, and then the academy has an account. So you can follow all of these or any of these that you like to stay up to date with information that we need to quickly get out to students. Resolving issues, who do you need to contact? So counselor contacts, that would be for schedules, mental health concerns, or parent-teacher conferences. If you have any of those issues, then that the counselor is who you would contact. You would contact the assistant principal if your student needs a VOE, a verification of enrollment for driver's ed, or getting their driver's license. Attendance issues, bullying issues, or teacher concerns. If your student has reached out to a teacher and you've reached out to a teacher and you're still having some concerns about that, reach out to the assistant principal and they can intervene on your behalf. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Jessica Beckham, or any of our counseling department. We would be happy to help you. Thank you so much.